Welcome to the Brew Crew Review Podcast, the show by fans for fans of your Milwaukee Brewers.
All right, Brewer fans, welcome to the Brew Crew Review Podcast. This is Craig. Joining me today is Vince and Scott. How are you guys doing?
Hey guys.
Pretty good.
Scotty, is
Hey.
Chad on? I thought he was going to be on for this playoff episode.
I think he's waiting for the World Series one.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. He's got a lot of irons in the
Kind of
fire.
building out that expectation. It's going to be exciting when he gets back on.
Yeah. Well, the Brewers have to do their part. I mean, that's what we're going for here.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, congratulations to the Milwaukee Brewers, the 2021 NL Central champions. We actually wrapped up that a week ago Sunday against the Mets after we swept them, luckily, and wrapped up the division with a week to go. So the rest of the NL field is set. I guess let's first talk about how the Brewers finished the season and what are your overall thoughts on the seasons, and I guess how the season kind of finished here for the Brew Crew.
I mean, it was a pretty monumental year for the team. We didn't quite, finish out the last week of the season probably as strongly as we all would have liked. I know that the Brewers finished one win short of tying a franchise record in terms of number of wins on the season. But, I think that it's important that as fans, you kind of step back and take a look at the overall product. And it's really been a fun team to watch all season. It's been a remarkable ride, especially since the Willy Adames trade in May. And I think that it's, I think there's something to be said for turning it back on for the playoffs. This team has stepped up in big games before. So, I think there are some valid questions maybe about a few parts of the offense, but I think this pitching staff can compete with anybody, particularly in the early rounds of the playoffs in a best-of-5 scenario.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a great team. It's a great year. Since we started doing this in podcast form anyway, it's 4 years in a row that the Brewers have made the playoffs. I almost feel obligated to keep doing it at this point. But
yeah.
It's a pretty amazing team. Things really worked out. I actually think that if we hadn't basically run away with the division, I think we probably could have pushed it and been a 100-win team, but there really was no reason to do it. I mean, let's be honest. We probably could have won 110, 120, 130 games probably this year. But, there was really no need to. So we just did what we could. I also want to thank Stearns and company. I guess, he's not even the GM anymore. But, I think early in the year, I had said something like, Stearns was saying he wanted to build this into a 100-win team, and I just don't see this as a 100-win team. So maybe we should have done more this offseason or something like that. But during the season, we were actually quite busy. And so, I think this actually is, even though they didn't necessarily win 100 games, I think they were just as good as just about any other 100-win team in history. So I have to tip my cap to him. Obviously, he was listening to our podcast, and he decided to make some moves.
Yep.
It's not like we helped make the Brewers, this amazing team. I mean, we helped a little bit, but we can't take much of the credit. Very little, like maybe 30%.
Yeah, I talked to Stearns in St. Louis this past week as well, actually, and I told him, you're welcome, and he seemed to understand, and he kind of laughed a little bit, and he seemed appreciative, so that was nice.
That's good. Did you ask him about my my resume? I had applied for a position there. I'm still waiting.
No, I asked him about our press passes that Craig was supposed to line up for me at Busch Stadium, and I went to the gate 2 where you're supposed to go to get that stuff in St. Louis, and they said that they, quote, have never heard of us. So I don't know what that was all about, but anyway, I'm sure.
Well, Cardinals fans, their heads are so far up their own ass. How are they supposed to know what's going on in the real world?
Well, right. I mean, we don't know anything, but again, it's I'm sure it was just some sort of miscommunication.
So yeah, during the after the Brewers had clinched, the Brewers still had 6 games remaining against on the road against Cardinals and the Dodgers, and I guess the Brewers took a little bit of an unconventional approach to coming into the postseason by really resting their big 3 pitchers, whereas other teams like the Dodgers and the White Sox, well, there was still some stuff to play for, but I mean, they really did have their pitchers go all the way to the end here. So I know that this is following a pandemic year of 2020 or whatnot. We were very concerned with like the innings pitched for our pitchers, even more so than other clubs, it seems. But I hope that doesn't come back to bite us in the playoffs. Hopefully it does the opposite of that, because I think that's maybe why they went with that strategy. But I kind of disagreed with it myself. But hopefully, I guess the most important thing is that all of our pitchers and all of our players really are entering the postseason healthy, and that's really all you can ask for. I mean, no one did anything stupid like threw their arm out or pitched excessively innings or anything like that. So that's I think the thing that we can really be grateful for is that
well, Craig, we got to talk about Devin Williams then, though, right?
Oh,
what do you do?
Uh-oh.
What's going on?
Well, I heard from our anonymous source that Devin was he was at some sort of festival or gathering, and it may have even been at our anonymous source Tom Carter's house. I don't know, but he got angry, and there was some sort of altercation with a wall that occurred. And
well, I'm sure he wouldn't have done anything with his pitching hand, though, right? So, I mean, maybe.
I mean, Scott, you were on the scene too. What happened?
Did he kick a wall or something?
Well, it's like, it's broken. His hand, not the wall. No word yet on what the condition of the wall is. But I don't know. I thought it originally came out that he was so happy that we won that he punched something, and I thought, oh, that's kind of weird, because I don't do a lot of like punching things out of jubilation. I mean, but everybody's different, I can appreciate that. I mean, after seeing him celebrating in the locker room when we won the division, I mean, the guy likes to party, man. Oh man.
I mean,
right,
but in all seriousness, I know this episode is kind of lighthearted. We're celebrating, because we of course did make the playoffs. But in all seriousness, what are your thoughts on how this is going to affect the team? As we hopefully advance in later rounds of the playoffs, and I know that we've talked for the last 2 seasons about how one of the Brewers' big strengths is the back end of our bullpen. Josh Hader, obviously, in the 9th, and Devin Williams in the 8th. And I don't know that we have anybody that's going to be able to step into Devin's shoes completely. I mean, so those are my thoughts, is that it really does throw off kind of this routine and the cycle that we had through much of the year. Now, Devin did have an injury prior to this during the season, so, he had missed a little time, but it just seems like such a reliable 1-2 punch in the 8th and 9th innings. What are your guys' thoughts?
No, it's a huge blow.
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
No, Scott, it's all you.
Well, all right. Well, okay. All our fans are going to listen to us being so polite here. All right. Sorry about that. No, I mean, guys, you forget, we're only going to use probably 3 or 4 starters. So that means like, it's very possible that someone like Hauser or Lauer is going to be able to step into a greater contribution in the back end of that bullpen. Not only that, but like obviously Aaron Ashby has really stepped up, and he has been a lot better than I thought he would in his rookie campaign. So I'm really impressed with him. So I think that he's going to be able to shoulder some of that load. And then I know I don't want to say too much about it, but it's very possible that Brett Anderson is going to be the guy to well, we'll need a mop-up guy. I don't know.
Well, just like and he might be the guy that steps up too. I mean, we saw that with Wade Miley in 2018 and Jordan Lyles. I mean, it's sometimes it's that unsung guy on the pitching staff, and Greg has been the guy to call this from the beginning. He's kind of talked us, into believing in these guys when you and I, Scott, were not necessarily on board, and he was proven right.
He could be our Gio Gonzalez, or yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I mean, the back of our bullpen, like you guys said, the 1-2 punch of Devin Williams and Josh Hader was like unlike anything else anyone in the majors had to offer. And when you compare that with our 3 emerging young aces, all of them probably will receive Cy Young votes, I'm guessing, of some sort, if not one of them actually winning it. And that would have been a deadly combination entering the playoffs with our, as you point out, Scott, revamped offense over the course of the season. And so it just takes away from that. With that being said, like you guys are pointing out, that in a short playoff series, those guys that we're not going to need as starters that have been really effective this year, Eric Lauer, Adrian Hauser, Aaron Ashby, and then not only that, but the bullpen guys that have emerged from us via both trade and even, off the waiver wire, guys like Jake Cousins, Hunter Strickland.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a nice free agent signing in Brad Boxberger. I think we're pretty, I feel somewhat confident we'll be able to make that bridge to Hader, with also the possibility of Hader being available for more than one inning, like he wasn't much of this season.
Yep.
But with that being said, it just still puts a little dink in our armor, and that really sucks going in the playoff. There's no other way to slice it.
No, that's true. But one thing that Stearns did, and I am kind of impressed by this, because it's not necessarily something that garnered a lot of headlines in the offseason. But again, a signing like Boxberger, who is a guy, by the way, that was, I think, let out of his contract in spring training just to re-sign with the Brewers, by the way. But this is a guy who was formerly a closer, and to have that sort of veteran experience at the back end of your bullpen until this past week, he was a guy who pitched in the 7th inning with Devin in the 8th and Josh in the 9th. But I'm very confident that a guy like Boxberger can pitch the 8th inning. I'm not actually all that worried about that. I think it's just a matter of making sure that those bridge innings are covered between a starter who throws hopefully 5, 6, maybe 7 innings, and then the guys who can get you to the end of the game. But the other point that we haven't really talked about yet is, I think that again, this is all hands on deck. This is the postseason, so my guess is that Craig Counsell is going to be a little bit more liberal in letting the starters pitch a little bit longer, even here in the first round. Again, this is all do or die stuff. So if Woodruff is on and he's at 105 pitches in the 7th inning, I think that most scenarios he's going to be pulled somewhere around there, maybe at 110 pitches, something like that. I think in the postseason, if he's throwing a shutout and he's still pitching in the 7th at that number of pitches, they're going to continue to let him throw in the postseason, whereas they win in the regular season. So I think we're going to see a little bit of an extended use of our starters too.
Yeah, let's definitely hope so. I mean, this is such a weird series too. I mean, when you think about it, I do think that the both the Brewers starting rotation and bullpen, when you kind of factor in how the bullpen is going to get revamped, I think we have the advantage in both areas. But even with the Braves losing Ronald Acuna Jr. With this torn ACL, that is still a vaunted offense. I mean, the Braves offense is still better than ours. So, I mean, in my opinion, but we've definitely improved as the year's gone on, but that's a great offense there in Atlanta. So we're really going to be relying on that pitching.
And that's a great point, Scott, about Acuna being out, and it feels like, we should be better than this Braves team, and I believe that we are. But I mean, it almost feels they're missing Acuna. It almost feels like we're missing Yelich when we're really not, so to speak. But the old Yelich MVP form just never came back around in the second half of this year in particular. So I hope he shows back up for the playoffs. At least he'll physically be on the field. And just speaking to where our rotation is at going into a playoff series this year compared to last year, I mean, I remember at this time last year, we were preparing to have Brent Suter start one of our playoff games against the Dodgers. So I think we're in a much better position. No offense to Brent Suter, who won, I believe, a team leading 13 games, was it this year? But anyway, obviously
more wins than Woodruff.
more wins than any of our starters. Actually,
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think Burns ended with 11. He very well could win the Cy Young. So, but I mean, the bottom line is I think we're in way better position, and we're really built to win short playoff series. But I mean, we're really going to have to rely on our horses. And I know some of the guys did not finish that strongly, and that like gives me pause to get really super optimistic. But I'm really reverting the fact that these guys are built for this, and not only that, but we have experience actually. But even Burns, as of rookie season, I think pitched some innings out of the bullpen in the playoffs for us, and Woodruff's been there before. I mean, he's dueled out with Kershaw and everything before, and I know he started the game against Scherzer. That you guys saw the wild card game 2 years ago and pitched very well. So I mean, all these guys have experience, and Peralta's kind of been there too. I mean, this is his first year really breaking out as starter, but I feel his innings have been kept down, and he could really be an X factor here too. So I guess the main point of this podcast is also to kind of do this preview specifically with this Braves series coming up. The Brewers do have home field advantage in the 5-game series. Their first games are going to be this coming Friday, October 8th. I think it's a 3:35 start time at American Family Field, and then the following day I think there's a 4-something start time. So they're afternoon ball games, and then we'll have a day off, and then we'll go out to Atlanta for games on Monday and Tuesday. And if there is a game 5, it'll be back in Milwaukee on Thursday, October 14th. Very likely that'll be a nighttime game. And and Burns would probably be available to pitch that. So again, I really feel that we're going to get through the NLDS, but I'm not really taking the Braves for granted. They are a really solid team. They did win the NL East, even though that was the weakest division in the NL. They're definitely not to be taken lightly. And like you said, I think they probably had the best player on either team, even with Acuna being out, with Freddie Freeman, definitely the best hitter. But with that being said, I really feel our pitching is superior. I mean, they've got Charlie Morton probably going against Burns on game 1 against us. Most likely their game 2 starter is going to be Max Fried, who I think is their best pitcher, going probably against Woodruff. He's actually had 12 consecutive quality starts and 2 shutouts within that. So I'm really concerned, and he's their only lefty. And then their third pitcher, Ian Anderson, is also a very good pitcher, but he's technically still a rookie this year. And Peralta, I think, is better than him. So and then not only that, but our depth and our rotation guys that, like we already mentioned, those guys, I think is better than the Braves depth. So I don't know. I really feel like we're going to take this series, and I'm going to think 4 or 5 games for sure.
Oh, do you want to nail one down?
Nail
down a prediction or something? Like, should we do that? Is that a thing?
Do that. Sure.
I mean, for the fans, they would want this. They would want a record so that they can be like, wow, Brew Crew Review said it all along.
If our fans really want to go back to check out our season predictions, by the way, you guys are more right than I on this. I think both you and Vince picked the Yankees versus Dodgers World Series. I picked the White Sox versus Padres World Series. So I'm the only one who picked a team that didn't fail to even make the playoffs. So my prediction won't come true, even though I think I did pick the White Sox to win it all. However,
it's okay, Craig, you got it last season.
However, I do want to say that I'm going to pat my own back for this one. I did predict that before the season even started that Corbin Burns would throw a no-hitter and that he would win the NL Cy Young Award. And I don't know if he'll technically do either of those things, but he's coming very close to both of them.
Didn't who picked Ohtani to win an MVP? Because I think that could be pretty close. I think that's pretty good bet.
That was probably me. And that could have been Scott. I don't remember. Scott, did you pick?
Yeah.
I don't remember, to be honest.
Well, Ohtani's been unbelievable, but for a pretty poor Angels team, unfortunately. But I mean, when you think of what he's done on the mound, and then in the batter's box this year has been unbelievable. I think he ended with like
Yeah.
homers, 8 triples, and like 26 steals or something ridiculous. I mean, and then he's he threw over 100 innings and I think he had like 9 or 10 wins. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, not since Babe Ruth has been a player like that. So, and not only that, but I don't even think he's reached his peak yet, to be quite honest with you, both either on the mound or with the bat. So it's pretty.
I will say that I forget who it was, but one of you guys really overestimated the Angels this season.
That could have been me.
I don't know
who I picked.
Well, we'll have Scott, just have your interns look that up, please, and we'll report it on Twitter.
Yeah, they should have. Well, they should have already done it for this episode. I mean, you'd think, but the problem is that we offer our interns $0 an hour, and the gas station across the street is offering them $20 an hour now. I mean, we can't compete. We don't have anyone who wants to intern. I'm sorry about that. I do want to make my prediction as well. Believe it or not, this sounds really weird, but I'm gonna spin you a quick yarn. So I think that the Brewers are going to win this in 5 games, and with that in mind, they're going to be pushed to the absolute brink. That means it's going to be, game 5, obviously winner take all. I think that the team that gets pushed to the brink, and actually is able to succeed and win that series, to me anyway, that's a team that's going to have all the confidence in the world moving forward. Like they're just like they're on borrowed time. I think it really could spark a team, and I think that's why it reminds me of a devastating wild card game that Vince and I attended just a few short years ago, where unfortunately the Brewers fell just short. And it, obviously spurned the Nationals to a World Series win. I mean, let's face it. If they don't come from behind and walk off the Brewers, like if they would have just won 10-0, they would have never had like the confidence. They would have never had the ability to win a World Series. So I think every Washington National should just mail their rings to the Brewers because we basically gave them to you. Or just throw them in a volcano. With that being said, I think that the Milwaukee Brewers are going to be brought to a whole nother level after winning in 5 games. And I think that makes them go all the way and bring the Milwaukee Brewers World Series champions.
I love it. That's awesome.
That is a storyline. And if that happens, I think it would only be fair for us to let the Nationals keep their ring and their championship from before. So, I mean,
I love it, Scott. I think that's awesome.
So this is the narrative, and then obviously when it happens, please play it for everyone so that everybody knows, and then hopefully, we can, get 10 times the viewership. We could be up to almost 1,000 people. That'd be great.
That is great. I love that storyline. I don't want to be the pessimist of the group. I'm usually not. I think that I'm gonna say that we'll win this first series against Atlanta. I agree. I think it's gonna go 5 games. I'll say that the Brewers win that. Unfortunately, Scott, where you and I diverge, and I really, really, really hope that I'm wrong. I think that series could kind of be the one that may tire the team out a little bit, expend all of our energy. And I'm not necessarily as confident in an NLCS. So, again, I really hope that I'm wrong. This last week, I think the team was fine. We didn't need to win any of those games. We did what we had to do. My concern is that we lost against teams that we're likely to face, whether it's the Cardinals or the Dodgers. And I don't know what that does to a team's confidence. Maybe nothing, but maybe something as well. So, again, I think that we do beat the Braves. I like our chances with the starting rotation in a best-of-5 series. I like our chances a lot in that scenario. I don't know what that does, though, down the line for the later rounds. So, but again, we're gonna fingers crossed and hope for the best. But I'm looking forward to this week. I think it's gonna be a fun series against the Braves. I think both teams are really good. I think that the Braves are an excellent team, really good team. But I do think the Brewers are just as talented. I think the Brewers pitching is definitely better. So I do think that the Brewers edge Atlanta.
Well, interesting predictions, guys. But as far as what Vince is saying, teams that we're likely to face, Dodgers or Cardinals, I don't see that at all. I see that we have to beat the Braves, and then we have to beat the Giants, and then we have to beat the Astros to win the World Series. That's what I see. So I think the Brewers will be able.
Hey, let's hope so. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome.
But yeah, I think that this is I actually think getting by this Braves series, because it's a 5-game series, and the shorter the series, I think that the not always the best team necessarily will win a shorter series. Whereas when you draw it out to 7, the better team's likely to emerge. And I feel like the Brewers are the best team in the NL. So I'm a little bit worried that we could have a hiccup in the NLDS, but I feel that our pitching will take us over the top, especially with Burns. And so after this series, I think we're gonna steamroll into the World Series for the first time in a long time. So that'll be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Quick, I guess, what are your predictions just for which team will emerge first of all from this week's wild card games, and then also your prediction for who'll win, who'll emerge from the other NLDS, and then we won't go all the way to the World Series with this prediction one, but just who do you think will be the NLCS, I guess, the NL or the championship series for both?
Yeah.
Real quick, so. Scott, do you want to start off?
No.
Well, otherwise you always claim we
I'll
steal
do
your
it.
No,
thunder.
this is going to be a lot more to talk about. I just got through this long-winded story before, so.
You're talking. That's where you're a Viking. You're really good.
All right, Scott. If you don't want to jump in, I will. I'll say that the Cardinals beat the Dodgers. At least that's what I really want to happen. I know our long history with the Cardinals, and
We know you're a Cardinals fan, Vince. That's fine. We already had that one written down.
No, but I'm definitely not a Dodgers fan. So I'm hoping that the Cardinals beat the Dodgers. Quite frankly, I really don't want to face the Dodgers. I think that the Dodgers are by far the more talented team and have much more depth to their roster than the Cardinals do. So despite this last couple weeks, I would love to face the Cardinals as opposed to the Dodgers in any future series. So I'm definitely pulling for St. Louis over the Dodgers. So that's 100% for sure. I think that anything can happen. So I don't know in terms of who would win in a Cardinals Giants matchup. The Giants have proven everybody wrong all year, so they're a very steady team. I could definitely see the Giants winning that series, so I'll pick the Giants to face the Brewers for the National League pennant.
What about the American League?
American League, I think the Yankees beat the Red Sox. I think the Astros beat the White Sox. Yeah, so I'm gonna pick Tampa and Houston. I'll pick Tampa and Houston to go to the ALCS. Is that how far we're picking this time?
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Okay.
Scott,
yeah.
do you want to go
Tampa,
now or still
Tampa, Houston, Giants, Brewers.
Awesome.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll go. Hang on. I think I'm almost ready. All right, I'm good. Okay, so here's what I would think. I think that the Cardinals find ways to win close games, but having said that, I think the Dodgers are just too good. So I think they're moving on from there. I already said the Brewers are winning the whole thing, so I don't have to keep saying that. Well, it feels good to say it. We're going to edge out Atlanta. And I think that the Giants are going to beat the Dodgers, and that is going to be a really great series. And yeah, unfortunately, it's going to take so much out of the Giants that that close series isn't going to be enough to vault them past us. So
Mostly because they were going to be missing Brewer killer Brandon Belt, so that's an advantage for the Brewers right there.
yeah, that'd be a plus. Let's see.
American League, Scott.
I think the Yankees get past Boston, and then Tampa Bay takes care of them. I'll say that Houston beats the White Sox. White Sox are really young and talented, but you know, they haven't been here in a while. You don't know how they're going to be able to do. So yeah, I think Houston, they have a great offense. They should be able to get past them. But then I think that the Rays are going to find a way to beat Houston. And it's going to be a Brewers-Rays World Series. And it is going to send a message to everyone in the rest of the league that, like, these teams are putting together rosters right. And they're finding these players and they're building it up. And they don't have, like, all the money and resources that some of these other teams have that just sometimes throw it away or even spend it frivolously. And people are going to start, if the Brewers win this, there's going to be like, it's going to be like a Moneyball 2 kind of scenario or something. If there's a Brewers-Rays World Series, I mean, it has to be, right? All right, that's what I have.
All right, awesome, Scott. You went further than you were supposed to, but that's okay. I know your interns are taking notes. So, yeah,
I just read the teleprompter, Craig. That's all I do.
that's all you need to do. All right, for the wild card games, I'll pick I guess I'll be different. I'm going to pick the Red Sox to merge, and I'm going to pick the Cardinals to beat the Dodgers because I want that to happen. Even though I'm not a Cardinals fan like Vince is, but yeah,
You can appreciate
the
history,
Dodgers,
Craig, without being a diehard.
I know the Dodgers are the one team that I don't want the Brewers to have to face at all in the postseason just because of their pitching matches ours, and then their offense is way better than ours. So that concerns me, even though we have a better bullpen. It'd be a great series, but I don't want to have to deal with that. So I'm hoping the Dodgers get knocked off before we have to face them. And the cool thing about the setup and the fact that the Dodgers did not win the NL West, I think, is really that little crucial one game is what's gonna really be the reason that the Brewers are able to get the World Series this year. Because if it was flipped around, I think there'd be problems. But the fact that the Dodgers have to get by the Cardinals and the Giants, two pretty good organizations, before they even have the privilege to face the Brewers in the NLCS, is going to prove problematic. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals knocking out the Dodgers by surprise, and then them and the Giants playing in the NLCS. Then in the NLDS, and I'll take the Giants in that one. They're good somehow. Obviously 107 win good. And then obviously Brewers over the Braves, over in the AL. Even though I've been wanting to see a Astros Brewers World Series, that'd be awesome. So we can go down and visit Vince and Lena down there in Houston for a Brewers World Series game.
Yeah,
Awesome. Unfortunately, that's what my heart tells me, but my head's telling me that the White Sox are going to knock them off, unfortunately. And so I'm going to go White Sox versus Rays in the NLCS. And the ALCS, American League Championship Series. Rays White Sox. So there's that. So yeah, I'm really excited about the Brewers Braves series, obviously, mostly because I feel that we have superior pitching matchups through all the games, and I think that's going to prove to be pretty big. But I am concerned. We really need our offense to show back up because it seemed like they kind of took the large portion of the month of September off. I know we were dealing with a little bit of injuries with Adames and with Rowdy Tellez, who I think is someone who could be a little bit of an X factor. We also need Yelich to bounce back in some fashion. And I think that some of those things will happen, and the Brewers will be able to scratch, up to about 5 runs a game out of that series and get past the Braves. That's my prediction. So,
Hey, guys, on that note about coming down to Houston, you guys are both welcome. You have your own bedrooms here. And Scott, just so you know, I know you work from home and you're worried about off days, but we do actually have internet here at the house. So you can work from here. It's fine. Yeah. So no problem at all. So there should be literally no excuses as to why you couldn't be here. If it does happen to be an Astros Brewers World Series, which would be awesome, I would expect that you'll be here. So.
Well, the Brewers are going to have to do their part, and then we'll address it then.
Okay. All right. Well, I would book a flight now. Scott, on many airlines, if you book your flight, you can cancel your flight, but then keep the credits for future flights. So you don't really lose much. You can just, book it and then use it as a credit later. I did buy tickets back to Milwaukee for the World Series week. So just in case we do play, we're set to go.
Could be interesting. Might have to work on the logistics there, but we might have a framework.
Yeah, absolutely. No hotels needed, guys.
Awesome.
Scott, we'll even drive you around, so don't worry about that.
Oh, finally. When are we going to have those cars that they're going to be fully autonomous and I can just lay down and go to bed and then it'll wake me up when I'm there?
There's plenty of beer, plenty of wine. I mean, you're like in a good spot here. So you got no obligations other than to show up at the games.
Would be nice. I mean, I don't know. I've only been in Texas once, and I was in an airport, and it was a layover, and it wasn't fun. Oh no, I did drive through Texas actually on my way back from Vegas to Wisconsin. I think I went through Amarillo.
Yeah,
and I was really bummed out because I saw a Chick-fil-A, and I was so excited that I pulled over and ate like 40 nuggets or something, and then I drove like 2 extra miles or something, and then Craig's brother Brandon, my roommate, texted me and said, "Hey, if you're there, there's a place from Man vs. Food where you could do a challenge and eat like 100-ounce steak or something. I don't know." And he's like, "You got to do that." And I was like, "I just got done eating, so there's no way." But I wouldn't have done it anyway. I don't think I could.
Well, Amarillo is only like 8 hours from here, but we could.
Oh, perfect.
I did go to Amarillo with Craig and minor league analyst Brandon as well. But Scott, one thing I never told you is that there's a Chick-fil-A that's literally walking distance from my house.
See, I have Chick-fil-A out here now, so now it's no longer a novelty. But I do want to try Whataburger.
Also walking distance from our house.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, one thing I forgot to point out, and giving Corbin Burns like kind of his accolades for what a phenomenal season he's actually had, was that he actually won the NL ERA title with best ERA in the NL. In fact, in all of baseball, he's got that. But he's the first Brewer in their 51-year history to ever win the ERA title. So congratulations, Corbin Burns, on that.
I think like a stock advisor or a financial advisor, we have to point out while we're saying a very, very convincing argument for Corbin Burns to win the NL Cy Young, we also have to disclose that we may or may not financially benefit from Corbin Burns winning the NL Cy Young this year. So just want to throw that out there. I think that covers it for our lawyers. I don't know. Our lawyer was an intern. He quit too. I don't even know if we're doing anymore.
Speak for yourselves, guys. I did not bet on that, but I'm glad you all did because it's a pretty good bet at this point.
And I see Vince is starting to take in the regional dialect down there in the South. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got a Texan girlfriend, so it happens.
Yep. What I was going to point out though is, so correct me if I'm
Wait, I have to point out something too, actually, just really quick, Craig. I'll throw it right back to you. But do you say things like, you're about as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs?
I don't get that crazy, but I do get made fun of the way that I say the word bag. Apparently, those of us who grew up in Wisconsin say it with a bit of a nasal intonation, and everyone laughs. If I say, like, hey, there's a shopping bag, or hey, that's the American flag, like, apparently anything that ends in AG, we say a little bit oddly in Wisconsin, according to the folks in Texas. So
it's the O's too, like, because I'm like, I'll say Wisconsin, and people would be like, why do you such a longer O with Wisconsin like that? Like, I'm like, well, my name is Scott, so I think that's where maybe I got it from. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it could be, and
we get that a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And there's certain things like never, if y'all do come down here to visit, never say you guys. That's a faux pas. Don't say that, because they laugh at that quite a bit. I've discovered. So you say y'all, like, don't say, hey, you guys want to do something. It's like, y'all want to do something. It definitely is a thing.
Are there any things like surfer lingo? Like, if I don't know, if you were like a California family or something like an Orange County family, like transplanted to Texas, would there be any thing to make fun of? I don't know.
Well, usually it's their politics, but I don't want to offend Craig, so we'll just leave it at that.
No, I just thought it'd be like, I don't know, like you picture like a Valley girl speak in Texas, and them being like, what?
I know. It's true. There's actually a lot of California folks who live in Texas. They've migrated to Texas in vast numbers, so Austin is now full of Californians.
Yep.
So the last time a Milwaukee Brewer won a Cy Young Award was 1982. Is that correct, Vince?
That is correct. So the Brewers have had 2 Cy Young Award winners in history. 1981 was Raleigh Fingers. 1982 was Pete Vukovich.
So one interesting
why
tip.
Why didn't you ask me if it was correct?
Scott, whenever I have a food related question, I always go with you. You know this, and
yeah, I've never once answered a question about Chick-fil-A, Scott. Just for the record.
All right.
But anyway, so it's interesting thing about Pete Vukovich you guys may not know about, but I believe one of his last starts of his Cy Young Award season was a really crucial win against the Red Sox. It was on September 20th, 1982, and it just shows how times have changed, either or how long it's actually been since the Brewers have had a Cy Young Award winner. And during that game, Pete Vukovich pitched an 11-inning complete game and beat the Red Sox for I believe his 18th victory of the season. So here we are, where we're barely getting our starters through 5 innings. And Pete Vukovich 40 years ago was pitching 11-inning complete games. So things have definitely changed.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. That's why when the Brewers beat the Rays in the World Series, they're going to have to make like a Moneyball 2. I mean, they might just call it that. It's not even that. It's just, it's more about like just looking at those stats and developing people. Like, I don't know, it's a combination. But anyway,
and that game, do you know who the Red Sox starting pitcher was, Craig?
I do not. I could probably try to guess, but no, I don't.
I mean, don't look it up like you did the trivia question that we posted today, but
it was Pedro Martinez.
No.
1982.
Any guesses from either one of you? You'll definitely know him.
I'll say Mark Clear.
Good guess. Nope. He did not pitch that day.
The Red Sox? I don't know. I can't even.
82.
And to show you how pitching has changed, the Red Sox starting pitcher went a full 9 that day as well. Gave up 7 hits.
Was it Bruce Hurst?
It was not Bruce Hurst. It was Dennis Eckersley as a starter.
Wow, Eck.
Seven hits, 3 earned runs, struck out 5, walked 0 that day.
Wow.
Whereas Vukovic struck out 2 and walked 4. And the Brewers had 3 guys that got 2 hits that day to lead the offense. Cecil Cooper, Gorman Thomas, and Charlie Moore each had 2 hits that day. Robin Yount was 1 for 5 with 2 strikeouts.
Wow.
I will have to point out that Vince's interns are much more sharper than yours. So I don't know where you're getting your pool of interns.
He's got recruits from the
know.
University of
Hang on,
UNLV.
AOL Sports.
Scott recruits
Bird.
from UNLV, and we live right next to Rice University, so it's a couple of minutes away, which is one of the top 10 schools in the country. So I think that maybe the intern programs that we offer in Texas might be a little bit better. Scott.
Lance Berkman's an alum of Rice, right?
Yeah, I believe he is. Yeah, it's literally right down the road from us. And the University of Texas, the Longhorns also have a campus in Houston as well. So for business and a couple other things. So also right down the road.
Awesome. So, well, hopefully you guys get to Milwaukee during the NLDS to attend one of these games with me. But otherwise, we'll see you guys for the World Series at the very minimum, right, Scott?
I'll be there,
Right.
Craig. I will be there for sure.
Awesome.
I'll definitely be there. And in fact, I booked it a couple days early so I could see the end of the NLCS as well. So we'll be coming up if the Brewers are in it.
Awesome.
Hey, Scott, do you want to take a trip to Atlanta to see the NLDS?
No.
Okay.
Scott, the original Chick-fil-A is there in Atlanta.
Yeah. Set a nugget record there.
There's also
We should have gone last time.
a statue of Martin Luther King Jr. also we'd probably like to see. But anyway, all right.
Yeah.
Well, really pumped up about this off season. It's like kind of going there on a little bit of a sour note at the end of the season with the Brewers. By the time Friday rolls around, we're gonna be pumped up, ready for the Brewers to take on this postseason head on with their awesome pitching staff and underrated hitters. So let's do this.
It sounds good, guys. Let's do it. And I'm sure that we'll come at you with a new podcast after each division, or after each round, I should say, as we go forward here. Scott, if you can make some time on your schedule, we could definitely do that on ours. And hopefully we're celebrating some wins going forward, and love to knock out Atlanta. I think that'll be a good first round matchup, guys. It'll be fun.
Awesome. All right. Stay classy, stay in Lewis, and go Brewers.
Go Brewers. Do-do-do-do.